Dear academicians, dear students, my colleagues, welcome to the library. We are here together with some more information about the WOS Science platform. Today our highlights are, let me introduce myself first. My name is I'm an operating service faculty librarian. I have been working here for 17 years. I know some faces are really familiar to me. Today, our talk highlights will be the WOS Science platform and overview, philosophy, the WOS Core Collection, essential science indicators, citation thresholds, Publons, Kopernio, the WOS Journal list, Clarified Analytics master journal list, citation mapping and tracking, identifying top research areas, journalists and researchers. I want to thank to Mr. Fatih Karagülü from Online Bilgi, and Mr. Yasoğlu from Clarivate Analytics, and Mr. Jamal, who is our speaker today, again from Clarivate Analytics. And also I want to thank to the Bilkent Library staff, from Electronic Resources Services, Reference Libraries, and Faculty Librarians. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. First of all, thank you for coming. I'm very pleased to be with you today. We have 1 hour and a half and a lot of things have been mentioned. So if I speak too fast and I want to cover the maximum, just let me know. Let me introduce myself quickly. I'm Jamal Quahi, working for Clarified Analytics, previously Thomson Reuters. It's the same team, same products, same clients, just a different name, a different ownership. I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. I'm based in Dubai, covering the Middle East North Africa region, and I'm also a researcher at Leiden University, CWTS. I'm really interested in my research projects are on bibliometrics, scientometrics, more quantitative science studies, and research evaluation, research management. So I have a quick presentation to go through few slides. I suggest to go through a few slides first, and then we use the product because I believe everyone wants to see how they can use the product for their own research or for their own job. But before going through the product, I think it's important to speak quickly about Clarivate Analytics. I know it's a relatively new name. So Clarivate Analytics is the new independent company that acquired the IP, intellectual property and science business of Thomson Reuters, but it does the same job. So 3 main functions, 3 main objectives to serve the community, which is the first one, discovery. This is more for research, so researchers work on a certain topic, they want to answer certain questions, and then they come up with product or an idea they want to protect. So this is more patents, innovation, and then commercialization in terms of you want to bring your product to the market. Okay, so we serve these 3 main objectives. So agenda today has been mentioned already. I won't go through the whole slide, a lot of text, but really we're going to speak about what we have in Web of Science, the selection process, then how you can find key opinion leaders in terms of researchers. I want to find a specific author. How do I find who is leading in terms of research as an author or as an institution, and even which journals to read and potentially cite when I work on my paper. Then we're going to look at potential collaborators, again at the author level or even at the institutional level. We can do a quick analysis of who's publishing at Bilkent University, with who, where they publish, and what's the impact of that research compared to other institutions in Turkey. Relatively simple to do that. How to find funders, who is funding research today, and who could fund my research related to a certain topic. Okay? Well, and then it all related to citations, these points, connections, citation reports, citation search alerts, and journal impact factor and quartile. So this is more measure of your influence or your impact. It's going to be long. And then we're going to speak about 2 relatively new products, Kopernio and Publons. Maybe you heard about them. They're part of Clarivate Analytics now. They've been acquired by Clarivate Analytics this year. And I'll show you the purpose. real quickly, Kopernio helps you to find full text across everything that is open access. So you'll find archive, everything that is open access or different servers. And then Publons is quite helpful. I don't know if any one of you is a reviewer or works as a reviewer for a specific journal. So Publons is the platform to be for a reviewer when you want to showcase the work that you've done as a reviewer. Because the work that is done by reviewers is quite time consuming, and you want to showcase that work. On the other hand, if you have a journal, so if imagine you're an editor and you want to look for someone who's going to do the peer review for your own journal, then that's also a good platform to look at. All right? Okay, quick history. Clarified Analytics is here, 2016, but we have a long history. So if you look at, we have starting 1864, zoological record available in Web of Science. So you'll see different names. Web of Science, we talked about Web of Science Core Collection. It's all very different names, and I hope we will clarify that. But for you, what you need to, so this is at the group level, so it's everything, innovation, and then and CompuMark, and this is branding. What I'm interested in here is Dr. John Garfield in 55, and then in 57, and then in 97, you have key achievements in terms of bringing citation indices. Science Citation Index has been launched in the 50s. So we have 50 years of history, 50 plus, on how we index the content, how we select the journals, and we make them available as a citation index in the Web of Science. And you know, Science Citation Index is one data set, it's one part of Web of Science Core Collection. So just for you to know about this, and we have more, 2017 Publons acquired, then Kopernio at the same year. So this is the history at the company level. What I'm interested in, and I think we need to spend a little bit of time on this, so that everyone understands what we do in Web of Science. Everyone is talking about citation index, and impact and everything, but really the origin of the idea comes from this gentleman, Dr. John Garfield. Imagine this is your paper, the purple paper. You wrote a paper, you have a manuscript, okay, you wrote a paper, and in your paper, when I read your paper, I see that you have a list of references. Simple as that. So this is the logic. He was interested in the 50s to understand, okay, there's so much literature, I cannot read everything, there are plenty of journals. What I want to know is I want to evaluate the impact, or I want to evaluate the influence of specific papers. So he came up with the idea, let's read the paper, and let's have a look at the references, and I see this paper has cited 6 papers. Simple as that, all right? So he creates a link between this paper and the previous papers. And then hopefully this paper, your paper, will be cited, and will receive citations. Now we're talking about citations. So this paper has been cited 4 times, right? 6 references, 4 citations. And at that time, he came up with the idea, so it was called a citation index, but he called it association of ideas. Because a citation is actually a link. So if I write a paper and I cite someone else, somehow my paper is related to the other paper, right? The idea is related. You have some relatedness there. So here he came up with that, and he just created the first citation index. And by the way, this has been used by the creator or the inventor of Google, everyone who knows Google.com, Larry Page. They created the page rank. The page rank is just a translation of this. We're not talking about papers, we're talking about websites. So you have a link, hyperlink is actually a reference to another website. And if you read the thesis of Larry Page, you will find Dr. John Garfield as a reference. So he used the same idea they used actually, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the co-founders of Google, to create Google.com. So they used the same logic of, I will measure the number, I will count the number of links, so here cited references, to evaluate the importance or the influence of a work, all right? And we do that, so it started to do that with science, but also we've done it for social science, art, humanities. We've applied the same logic for books and conference proceedings, all right? Across disciplines, so That's why we see here multidisciplinary, international scope, and influence, because once you have this data, it's very simple to say, okay, this paper has been cited 2 times, 3 times, or 10 times. And then if you look at that, so same logic, references and times cited. So this is again your paper. Here you have more references, and here you still have 4 citations. And then we have something called related records, which is really powerful in Web of Science. I'll show you how to search for search records. Related records is other papers that cited some of the references that you have cited. So I write a paper, and let's say you write a paper. I look at your references and my references, and I look at if there is any reference in common. And then you find those related records. Okay? So it's, you ask yourself, what is cited by the community? Is there any references commonly cited by the researchers? All right? And here we started to speak about selection process, and in the introduction there was a mention of master journal list. Maybe you heard about that. You're interested in knowing what is the list of journals that we cover, because here we don't index everything. When he came up with this analysis, all right, we have another gentleman, Bradford, he's a British mathematician. He did the analysis on, like you could do it, Bilkent Library. You go to your library and you count the journals and you look at how many times the papers are cited and in which journals they come from. And if you have any library, and that applies to Web of Science and in any electronic resources. So you have a quick chart here, 2 curves. The blue line is the number of articles available in your database, in your library, and the citations that they accumulated. So let's imagine you have 100 journals. If you read 40%, not 40,000, you have 100 journals. If you read 40%, so here we have around 7,000, sorry. 40%, that's 3,000. If you read 40%, you will be able to read 80% of all articles. So forget about the graph, just look at me. If you have 100 journals, if you read just 40 of them, 40, you will be able to read 80% of all the articles published by those 100 journals. And these 40 journals, in our case, because we're talking about 100 journals, they accumulate 92% of citations. Meaning, if you just read those 40 journals, it's good enough to capture 90% of everything that is cited. And then we go even extreme. If you have 100 journals, if you read 4%, so if you subscribe only to 4 journals, you don't have to pay for 100, you just pay for 4 journals, you will be able to read 30% of everything that is published in those 100 journals, and they accumulate 50% of citations. So forget about the chart, you have 100 journals. If you read just 4 of them, you will be able to read 30% of everything that is published by those 100 journals, and you will be able to read, so these 30% of publications, they represent half of everything that is cited from your database. So the question here is, what are these 4%? Okay? And what are these 40%? And that's why we come with the name Core Collection. We're interested in those journals, and this is very important. That's why we come with the journal selection process, because once you know this, you want to look and find those journals. So we apply a journal selection process, and that produces the master journal list that I will show you in a minute. But for you to know, we don't have to go into too much detail, because I'm not sure if there's anyone from editorial, and we could do a separate session on this. But for you, you need to understand that the link is there for the master journal list. Any journal that you find in Web of Science Core Collection has passed these criteria. So 4 criteria. The first one is journal publishing standards. You want to make sure that the journal is published in a certain way, so it becomes a bit technical, we were talking about peer review with Publons, so we want to know that we need to know that your journal is peer reviewed. Ethical publishing standards, this is more technical, so how do we get the content? English language bibliographic information. Timeliness of publication, this is, do you publish on time? All right, that's a critical indicator. And International Editorial Convention. Then we talk about editorial content. We have specialists who read, experts who read your journals, and the question is, do you bring anything new to the database? Okay, that's basically what we ask here. International focus at two levels, author level and the board level of the editorial board of the journal, and citation analysis. So you remember we were talking about impact citations here. Here we look at before being in the Web of Science Core Collection, does your journal get attention by your community, your researcher community? You heard about Emerging Source Citation Index, which is also part of Core Collection. All the journals are matching these criteria except the citation analysis. So the selection process for Emerging Source Citation Index is relatively more cool, I would say. It's less strict. We don't look yet to the citation analysis. Once they start to get attention and citation impact, then they go up into what we call the flagship, which is Science Citation Index, Social Science Citation Index, or Arts Humanities Citation Index. Okay? I see people taking notes, so I'm glad what I'm saying is not useless. So I just wanted to remind everyone about how we do things, because this is a key differentiator between how we do things and what other platforms index the content. How do they select the content? All right? And we've been doing this since, as you've seen, from the 50s. So here, quick numbers. We're talking about Core Collection. That's going to be the database I will focus on when I will do the product demo. So we have journals, we have conference proceedings, and then we have a new kid in town, Emerging Source Citation Index. Few numbers here in terms of number of journals, conference proceedings, for you to know. Very precise research areas, we call them Web of Science categories. And also very interesting databases, the Data Citation Index. And then we have regional, so Korean, Chinese, Silo, which is Latin America plus Brazil, plus South Africa, Spain and Portugal, open access content. Okay, you see it here, Silo. Medline, which is coming from PubMed. Arabic Citation Index, which will come soon. And hopefully one day, Turkish Citation Index. I hope so. Available in Web of Science one day. Okay? All right. So a few numbers here. I don't want to go into too much details, but that's what we have in terms of history. That's how we do things. What I suggest is that we start talking about the platform. I can go into more details if you want before talking about the next part. I suggest we start using Web of Science, if you don't mind. Okay, before starting, who has never used Web of Science? Okay. Do you know how to access Web of Science? Yes? If you don't know, I believe you just go to your library portal. There should be a link there, electronic resources. It's an online database. You search for Web of Science, and you have access to Web of Science. Just a quick website. It's a platform, search engine. And you have access. First, you need to access the platform from Bilkent University network, from the IP address of your institution. But you can create an account, sign in, register, and you will be able to use Web of Science remotely. You can access it from home, from the hotel, from conference, or from a workshop like this. I'm not in my office, but I'm still able, and I'm not part of Bilkent University, but I can still use my account. As you can see here, I'm connected. So Web of Science, it's a search engine. I mean, nothing fancy, to be honest. Just gives you access to several databases. All right. So here you have access to Web of Science Core Collection, Korean Journal Database, Russian Science Citation Index, and Silo. You can go to each and every database to learn more about the databases. And right now for Core Collection, you have access back to 1975, journals and conference proceedings. There is no books, all right? And before going through this, I mentioned that I would show you that MGL, Clarivate, okay? MGLClarivate.com. MGL.clarivate.com is the place to go to search and to check if a journal is indexed by us, and if it's indexed in Web of Science, where it is indexed, okay? So if I just search, I don't know, so of course Lancet, I know it's there. So I can search by name. I find 13 journals that contain Lancet in the name. I can go for this one, coverage, and it's indexed in Science Citation Index, Science Citation Index Expanded. So this is Core Collection, and then you have current content, BIOSes. I can go for a different journal, let's say Centometrics, okay, with the right eye. Okay, I can do the same. So this one, it is there. If I search for, I don't know, do we have anything with Turkish? We do have 66 journals with Turkish in the title. So this one is indexed in the Web of Science. When we say it's there somewhere, right? But I just want to be sure in which database. So this one, coverage, it's in Emerging Source Citation Index, which is, if I go Web of Science Core Collection, which is this database, right? It's there in the Core Collection, but it's indexed in Emerging Source Citation Index. And you may know that journals, only journals from science and social science, if they stay indexed for 3 consecutive years, get an impact factor. All right? There is no impact factor for conference proceedings. There is no impact factor for books. There is no impact factor for arts and humanities, and there is no impact factor for Emerging Source Citation Index. Okay? There is an impact factor for journals in science and social science if they stay in the database for 3 full consecutive years. Okay? The question that often comes is, how come there is no impact factor for arts and humanities? Simply because 3 years, the impact factor will be close to 0. Wouldn't make really sense. And actually in arts and humanities, many people publish what we call monographs, books, all right, and they don't publish that much into journals. So that were the main reasons of not having an impact factor for arts and humanities. You could still calculate an impact factor but wouldn't make really sense. So that's how you use master journal list. You can search by ISSN. I prefer ISSN, especially when you have very common names here. You can download the list and be careful. So again, if we look at this one, this is in Emerging Source Citation Index. This one is in Science Citation Index Expanded. So that's how you check the coverage of your journal. So how we index it rather than the coverage. Okay? All right, so I'm gonna search. Is there any questions so far? Am I speaking too fast? Okay, great. So it's a database. Think a database as a big, for the non-computer science people in the room, think about it as like a big Excel table where you have several fields, several columns, and each column is one piece of information. And these are, for Core Collection, the information that you can search and filter and use. So authors, group authors, editor, publication name, DOI, the address, the organization enhance. We could search for Bilkent University and see what we get, for example. The language, etc. Okay? I'll start with basic search. Then you have different types of search: cited reference search, advanced search, and author search. We'll do one of each if you want, and I'll show you the main differences. So for topics, I usually ask someone from the room to give me an example as a topic. Just one topic.
Philosophy of science.
Sorry?
Philosophy of science.
Philosophy of science, okay. So if I type in philosophy of science. So that's the topic we're going to use. Just for you to understand, in this data is coming from the publications, right? We don't create. I'll show you few things. But when I search, when I say topic, I'm basically asking Web of Science, find me all the papers that talk about philosophy of science in their paper. For us, topic is title, abstract, and keywords. All right? If I hit search, it's going to search for all the publications that talk about philosophy or science. For me, I want both. So here, I can do this actually. And I need your help, double quote. So you need to know how to write double quote. Okay. How did you do it? Sorry.
Just.
Okay. So here I'm searching for the exact combination of philosophy of science, right? So if I click search, I get 4,000 papers. If I do it slightly differently, so if I say philosophy and science, now it's slightly different. It's going to search for all the papers that contain philosophy and science together, because philosophy of science, I'm searching for the exact sentence, philosophy of science, all right? But I may have some papers that are talking about philosophy, but also science, okay? And I will get probably much more, 17,000. So if I click on this one, just as an example, when we search by topic, I search in the title, the abstract, and the keywords. So here it's a really good example. It's not a good example, because here it's actually searching and it found philosophy of science. So I would get this record anyway with the previous search. But if I look at the next record just to see, yeah, that's a nice one. So it finds philosophy and sciences in the title. But if I go next, okay, philosophy of science is still there. Okay, that's a good one. Science and philosophy. But still, my point is that if I go search results, okay, let's have a look at this actually. Or actually, sorry, the other one. So there's a good way to go back to what you want to see. You go to search history, and here you have the search queries that you use during the session. So if I switch off, or if I just close my laptop, or if I close the browser, this is gone. But I can still save it. Okay, you don't have to search Web of Science every day. Okay, although Web of Science is updated daily, I can save this, and I can save and create an alert and say Philo of Science, and I can receive a notification and say once a week, every time a new paper is talking about philosophy of science. And this is really powerful. This is how you stay up to date with the literature. You don't have to do such literature again and again. You do it once, that's what we're gonna do now. You do your analysis, you keep what's relevant and everything, and then you save and you keep track of only the new papers being published. Okay?
Sorry, where did you open this one?
So I went to search history, and then I check and I click on save history, create alert. To get this, to send an alert, we need an email address. And the email address is the one that is used to create your account. You remember when I say you sign in and you gain access remotely? So that's the email address, still thomsonreuters.com, by the way. So this is my email address. So I give it a name and I save it, and I receive a notifications once a week, once a day, once a month, as you wish. All right? So let's go back to these 4,000. So philosophy of science, my point here is that, you see, we're very selective. We're searching for the whole history. We still find 4,000 papers. My point here is that I don't want you to explore and to go through each and every record here. You don't have time to read all of them anyway. I mean, if I ask you how many papers you read, statistically people come with 3-4 papers a week maximum. So that's 200 a year. You would need 20 years to read all of them, to read all of these papers. If you really want to read all the papers talking about philosophy of science, which I'm sure you don't want to do. My point here is that 4,000 papers, there's a lot of noise. We are surrounded constantly by noise. I'm not talking about Facebook, Twitter, and notification here and that. I'm talking about papers that could be relevant, but the point here is that we give you many filters to keep what's relevant. The key word here of this session today is you want to be relevant in what you read, what you're going to cite, and where you want to publish. Okay? You want to talk to the right people in the right journal. So here, philosophy of science. The filter that I usually start with is the category. So how did we classify the journals where those 4,000 papers were published? This is the category of the journal. All right? I want you to be aware of that. So we find, of course, philosophy, and then history, philosophy of science, and then you have religion, ethics, computer science, literature, neurosciences. So my next question to you would be philosophy of science in what? And that only depends on you. I mean, there's no wrong or bad answer. I just want you to be more precise in what you're interested in.
It's a question of philosophy and sciences, so philosophy.
Okay. Is it, I don't know, education, history? No? So we'll keep only philosophy, which is actually a good case here. From 4,000 we're down to 1,000. Okay, and then I can go down and actually I can play with all these filters. I may be interested only in articles, not books, and not conferences. Or I could be interested in conference proceedings. Some people, they usually ask, okay, which conferences I should go and attend and present and do some networking. That's how you get the answer. You search for proceedings papers. If I filter on proceeding papers, I will find all the conferences where those papers talking about philosophy of science have been presented. Okay? So it really depends. So for now, I'll stick to articles. There's an interesting filter also, which is organization enhanced. Maybe you heard about it. It's actually an enhanced name of the institution. We unify the names. So actually, you know what? Let's start. I also like to start with the countries. Let's have a look at if there is anyone from Turkey working on 4 papers. So again, this is the address. This is where they're based, not the nationality. We don't track, we don't know the nationality of authors. So if I click here, I find 4 papers with at least an author based in Turkey. And I used it personally. It's really, really powerful. That's how you find collaborators. You look at who published what, okay? And if I go back here, I see someone from WOS University. Here we go. So these are 4 different institutions in Turkey. And you even see the collaborations. So here it's only Turkish institutions. But if there were collaborations with other countries, you will find the institutions here. Okay? You know what? I will do the same, but I'll remove the article filter. I go back to this one. Maybe we'll get more results. Sorry. Yeah, so here I have the titles of the conferences. That's what I was mentioning. And you see some of them are recurring. It looks like some conferences, like 23rd World Congress of Philosophy, then 20th World Congress of Philosophy. It looks like it's a series of conferences. So you may think, okay, when is the next one? Okay, so that's how you find conferences. I'm interested in countries for now. Okay, still 4. Fine, no problem. These 4, right now I'm not trying to read any paper. I'm just trying to understand who does what. Okay? And in here I have list of authors. If you want to collaborate with someone who works in your field, It's not even your field here, it's your topic, philosophy of science. Then I have a quick list of authors, all right? If I go back to the previous search, remember the question, I think it's been, we mentioned it, key opinion leaders or the influencers on that field. Here is a quick answer. So if I go here, so of course you'll have some reports with no author, but then you can say Corsair, for example, or Hansel or Porras. These are very productive authors when it comes to philosophy of science, with the number of papers. Okay, you have Spinoza, Lebedev. So you have very different people from different institutions, different countries. We see Russian Academy of Science is really productive. It's actually the number one most productive institution when it comes to philosophy of science. All right? So to answer the question, key opinion leaders, key institution in your research area or topic, I just do a quick analysis. And you also have that functionality, which is quite helpful. I want to analyze these 1,157 papers. I just go here, analyze results. Okay? And here you see Web of Science category, philosophy, ethics, etc. I can go here, publication years. So I'm not sure if you see from the back, but it goes this way, all right? 2008 till 2018, okay? So it goes up, and that's actually a good way to see if a topic is still in demand. So you see people producing or publishing more and more about that topic. You see the other way, some topics are dying. There is less and less research done on these topics. So here you see relatively more papers published in on that topic. Okay, so you can download the data. It's showing the 10 years, but you can go down here. Interesting, like 97, 21 papers. All right. I can look at source titles. I can have a look at where those papers are published. So here, imagine you're done with your paper, and now the question is, where shall I publish my paper? Here is a quick answer. So when it comes to philosophy of science, the most publishing journal is Synthesis and then Voprosi, Philosophy, etc. You have different journals, and you know that all these journals are indexed. So that's another way to use Web of Science. You could go master journalist, and you want to make sure, you already know the journal and you just want to make sure it's indexed, you go to master journalist. But here you're doing your analysis at the topic level. You want to know which journals are talking about that specific topic. Okay? All right, so organizations, again, Russian Academy of Science, etc. And we have it. That's quite interesting. You see, if we look at, this is how the name is written in the paper, Russian Acad SCI. So this is organizations. But if you go organization and then 40 papers. But then if you go, and I'm sure this one is them as well, RAS, Russian Academy of Science, 40 plus 9, 49, there should be another one somewhere. How do I know that? Because before, I remember it was 52, 55, yeah, 52. Then we unified the institution name. So you wouldn't find this name in the paper. If you read the full text or the full record, you wouldn't find it. Here this is only available in Web of Science, where we manually clean the names and allocate a unique name. Okay? Let's have a look, by the way, to Bilkent University. There's a quick way to look at how your name, how your name is unified. You go to Web of Science Core Collection, Organization and Enhance, and you go to Index, select Available, and then just type in Bilkent. So I know we have rules in place for your institution. Which one?
That is the D.
This one? Yeah, I didn't even know that your full name was I was looking for Bilkent University. So, okay. So if I click on D here, that's how the authors from your institution wrote their affiliation. So you see Bilkent, the T is gone, with an A. BU. Okay, BU, I mean, you need to be very strong to know that it's Bilkent University. The Univ. I have no idea how they come up with this, but I mean, there are two things you should take from this is that first, when you write a paper, write your affiliation correctly. Otherwise, you struggle to retrieve your paper. Your institution, your president is not getting your paper, and the ministry, or like being Tubitak, they don't have the visibility on your institution. I mean, I'm sure there might be new variants coming soon. That's the first thing, and the second thing is that, well, here what I need to use, then I'm gonna use this unified name. All right, I just click add. I don't even have to write it, and I click OK. All right, and I click search. So here it's gonna search all the papers that contain one of these variants. Okay, so if I click search here, okay, 10,000 papers. If I click on this one, just the first one to see. Okay, so this one, quite easy to Bilkent Univ. We clean that, we unify that, and we give it a unique name, which is your official name. All right. Okay, so that's the purpose of organization enhanced. Let me go back to philosophy of science, which is here, and yeah, articles. Let's take all document types. I don't know, I haven't tried to read anything so far. What I was doing until now was to understand who does what, where it's published, conferences, etc. There's also an interesting filter that I didn't mention, is the funding agencies. Remember, one point that we talked about is who's funding research. So when it comes to philosophy of science globally, not only in Turkey, these are the main institutions that funded the work in philosophy of science. By the way, I'm not interested in philosophy of science, and I'm sure many of you as well, but what I'm doing here is applicable to any topic, right? She was the first to give a topic, so we have to deal with that. I'm not responsible for this. But the same filters, you can play with them to analyze the number of journals, institutions, authors, funding agencies, right? It's the same logic. So here, funding agencies, how do we get that? You could ask, how do we know that 6 papers, 6 projects were funded by Arts and Humanities Research Council, or NSF? It's relatively simple in theory. How we do this? Well, we just translate the funding acknowledgement of the authors. So when you read the paper, okay, you will find that these people, they wrote, thanks to Kevin and etc. And we translate all of this, all right? So for example, this work was partially supported by the National Science Foundation, NSF, with the grant number. We translate this into the field that you can reuse in your analysis. Everyone understand that? So of course we don't know the money that has been, or the facilities, or the equipment, or I don't know if they need equipment for philosophy of science, but how many they've been paid. We don't have any visibility on the money that has been given, or the support that has been given. But we know that when it comes to philosophy of science, and how can I use this as a researcher? If I work on a topic, I'm interested in who's funding the topic, who has funded the topic in the past, right? So I could think, okay, National Science Foundation, they may have a program, a grant program, where philosophy of science could fit, okay? You know, for Tubitak, for example, they make publicly available the programs, the funding programs. So there's one for mathematics, etc. So the same here, you can use the other way. Let's have a look at from where the money is coming, and then let's approach and let's have a look at the funding agencies. Okay? Is it clear for everyone? So I just use the filter on funding agencies. Okay? All right. If I look back to my 1000 papers. Now I'm going to use these indicators in the top to try to benchmark and compare the papers. So I see here, by default, the papers are sorted by publication date. The most recent at the top. So winter 2018, October 2018, September 2018. But we have something called time cited. And when I click on time cited, so it gives me a rank. Now it's sorting the papers by citation count. And that's a quick indicator on the influence of a paper. I'm not saying, so this one got 162 citation, this one 54. I'm not saying, and Web of Science and Clarified Analytics is not saying that this paper is better than this one. We're saying that this paper has been used by the committee more times. It's been more influential. We're not judging the quality of the work here or the quality of the author. We're saying that this work has been used much more times than this one, for example. Okay? So when you start a project and you want to do your bibliographic study and you want to analyze what has been published, that's also something interesting, because when it comes to philosophy of science, well, maybe this paper deserves some attention. Okay? If you don't have this, you have no way, the citation count, you have no way to know that this paper has been so much used by the researchers over time. Okay? And it's quite old, actually, 77. It's 41 years old paper, and I'm sure it's still being cited. If I click on this paper, okay, if I go here, most recently cited by, so people still cite that very old paper, 77. By the way, we're searching 1975. Your history is 75 till today. There might be some other papers that we don't have visibility on, or even books as well, okay? Because you don't search, and you don't have access to books. But that's one indicator I can use, like, okay, this one, let's have a look at this one, or this one, view abstract, okay? And then I'm just asking myself, is it relevant or not? That's what you should ask yourself. There is access to so much data. Okay, is it relevant or not? If it's relevant, well, you just save it. And then there are many ways to save it. You can download it or save it to EndNote online or desktop or a text file, and then I see a product here, someone is using a different product. You can export to a different product, you feel free. But at least you have the data to decide if it's relevant and you want to keep it or not. I think there was a question, yeah?
For that citation, does it include self-citation?
Yeah.
So is there any way to separate those self-citations?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So if you look at epistemological here, this one, so you have 162, that's from Web of Science Core Collection. And I'm not sure you can see here without self-citation. What I would do to do that, I know you can. But what I'm gonna do is quite extreme, but I can still do that if you're interested. Well, I search for that paper, and I create a citation report on that paper. So, what I did, I went a bit fast. I went into each and every record in Web of Science has a UT code, accession number. It's like you and your passport number or your national ID. So this paper, its code is WOS, column, etc. So I'm searching for that paper only, okay? And I create a citation report, which is a bit extreme, I would say. So 162 citation and 160 without self-citation, okay? So a citation report, you can create a citation report. I wanted to show that later, but now you're talking about it. Let's talk about that. You can create a citation report for anything, for an author, for an institution, for a journal, for a research area, for anything. So here what I've done, I wanted to have more details on the citations attracted or received by this paper. So it's one paper, and it was published in 1977. H-index is 1 because it's only one paper, so the maximum you can get is H-index. Everyone knows what H-index is? H-index is, so if my H-index is 5, it means that I have 5 papers that have been cited at least 5 times. So if you have one paper, the maximum H-index you can get is 1. Okay? So now I'm looking only at one paper, so the H-index is 1 if it's cited only one time, which is the case here because it has been cited 162 times. Without citation, 162. If I was that author, McIntyre, what would be, or McIntyre, I don't know how to say that, what would be interesting is, let's have a look at who cited me. You remember the links and the connections, and so here I can analyze the citing articles, or I can have a look at the citing articles and analyze them also. So I get the list of papers. So you see, from core collection it's 162, all right? But you, with your access, you have access to 118 because you don't have access to the whole data set, but that's a different discussion. And I can analyze this. So here, my citations are coming a lot from these institutions, but I could have a look at who's citing me. So this guy, Bedler, cited that paper 3 times. He cited me 3 times. If you have papers that are cited, go have a look at who cited you, and that's how you could find potential collaborators or competitors or stakeholders. I don't know if anyone is working in, let's have philosophy of science, quite tricky, but if anyone is working in industry, let's say pharmacology, and you work on, I don't know, new protein or new drug, whatever, and you get a citation from Sanofi Aventis or Pfizer from the pharmacy, then, I mean, there is a big potential, there is a big opportunity there. That's how you can use citation. Citation is just not like, okay, my H-index is 5 and I'll get a promotion and I'll become associate professor or professor. It's not only that. Citation is really a link. Someone is using someone else's work, right? So this person cited the other person 3 times, okay?
Sorry, I missed how you explained the H-index.
Yeah. So the H-index, so in this case, let's go back to 1,000. H-index on one paper doesn't really make sense. The H-index is just a measure that tells you how many times. So if I go back to 1,000 here, 1,000 papers, and if I create a citation report, so it has to be less than 10,000 papers, create citation report. The H-index of these 1,000 papers, let's imagine I'm a very productive author, I have 1,000 papers. My H-index, if all of these papers would be mine, my H-index will be 22, which means that 22 papers of these have been cited at least 22 times. That's all what it means. And how we get that, I think that would make more sense. If I go down here, so you have the papers, 162, all the way down, so it's descending. We sort the papers by descending order on the citation count. And if I scroll down all the way to the 3rd page, you will see a line which would represent the H-index at 22. The line should appear here, because that 22nd publication has been cited 22 times. For the H-index to become 23, then I need to have one of these 2, or this one, to get one more citation. And then I would have 23 publications that have been cited at least 23 times. Does that make sense? If your H-index is 5, it means that you have authored 5 publications that receive at least 5 citations. It can be 10, it can be 100, it can be 1,000 citations. I'm just saying that you have 5, all of them at least 5 citations. Okay? Okay, is there any question on anything here? I'm going through each and every functionality. Yeah.
The H-index is
Yeah.
How can we explain it?
Well,
And also there's different, I came through some examples. There's a difference in different searches. For example, I had searched for an author, and the first search says it is 41. The second search, it shows an H index of 44. Here in Web of Science.
how do you do that?
There are different H indexes for the same author.
Okay, so let me answer the first question, and maybe we can try what you've done. First question: how come my H index is different on Scopus in Web of Science? The answer is simple: databases are different. So the journals that we index, they do their indexation differently. So the databases are different. So the paper has different. So you may have more papers in Scopus because you published in a journal that we don't index, and vice versa. And also in the citation count, that paper has been cited 52 times. There it can be 48 or it can be 68. All right, and that's the reason. So that's why the H index can be different, or will be different, because all databases are different. Second question is, how did you do that? How did you do the search? Which authors did you search for?
You can give me Volkan Demir.
Can you come and write that? I think that will save some time.
As the author,
Yeah?
can I be here?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you noticed what she did. She went a bit fast.
Sorry.
It's okay. So in basic search, I wanted to show you both ways, but we'll start with the first way. I went and I selected author as a field, but she went into author search, which is a different way of doing it, but I'll explain the differences. So you just search last name and the initial of the first name. Okay. Yeah, capital or it's quite, it doesn't make a difference.
Okay.
Case sensitive. So if you go, yeah, so here, if you click finish search, it's gonna search for all the people that have Demir as the last name and HV as initial. What I recommend here is that you select the research domain. So I believe you know that person? It's you?
But we can also show.
Okay. All right. So here we see that we have maybe, most probably, several Demir active in life science, physical sciences, and technology. So, do you know the field?
Physical sciences and...
Okay, I can keep all physical sciences and technology. Well, doesn't really make sense for now. And then we select the organization, so where the person was based. So we see here Bilkent a lot. Okay, at some point in Germany. All right. So depending on the histories, people move. This one? Singapore? Korea, maybe? Yeah, this one? Okay. Well, you got the point, right? And then...
What if I don't know where does the author work?
I'll show you. If you don't know, you just click finish search. So I click finish search. I just wanted to be more precise in my search here. That's why I'm doing it this way. And what it's telling me, that it's grouping the 400 records into 4 groups. Okay? I could go and jump and create a citation report for now, but here, if I see 4 article groups, so now it's more precise. So of course I retrieve what I've done. Physics, optics, engineering, that's in Bilkent, all right? Okay, and I even have, so for me, I would take this one, 520. So we have an algorithm that based on the research area and the affiliations, and of course the time period. Okay, you could try to do the same in Google Scholar. You'll find authors that have published in 1910 and still publishing today. Okay, so here you have also the period, which can be important, or you can include all of them if you want. and then I click view record, or I have a sampling just to be sure, is this the right person? I mean, of course here it makes sense, and I click view records. Okay, I just copy this, and why searching on an author is quite difficult, because this person, we know that he, she, published under several names. It's the same last name, but then you have last name, and then you have the initial Hilmi V, HV, H, Hilmi Volkan. It's the same person. I mean, for you, I think it makes sense because you know that person. For me, it wouldn't make sense. But here, what Web of Science is telling me is that he also published as these different names. I think here is still the same in engineering, etc. So I can click View Records, and from here, of course, now I selected 513. So this is in your subscription, that's what you have access to. If you do the same search in a different database, you'll find potentially different number of papers. Why? Because the database is different, or he has published in a journal that we don't index. Maybe, can be, all right? So from there, you create Citation Report. And then I have H-index 44, all right? The other way of doing the search on an author, so you went author search, last name, and then research area, and then institution. Yeah, sure, sorry. If I search on Demir HV, okay, so which is last name and comma, yeah. If I click search, we have an algorithm which does pretty much the same thing. Select articles grouped for author name Demir HV, and it brings me back this. I usually prefer this method. I don't have to deal with the institution and the research area. So for me, this is nice. Okay, he published with, see, even the best of us make a mistake. He published with Hilmi, and his name is Hilmi. Yeah. So Web of Science tells us, okay, that's a different name, but for me, I know it's the same person. And here it looks like the I was not working on his keyboard. So Hilm Volkan. So I still want this one, and this one is Hilmli. The M is next to the L. No, it's a typo, I believe. So I still want this record. But here the algorithm is 520, then this is one paper, and one paper. If I include these three records, let's have a look, and now view records. Okay. And I create a citation report. Let's see, maybe we're going to have something different. So H-index is still 44, but I have 516, not 512 publications. Okay? So the algorithm, what it does, is just look at the name and the institution and the research areas and the period. So now Hilmli and Himli, okay, was in a separate group. But you decide it's actually the same person, so then you do a selection on the name. You wouldn't think searching by Demir Hilmli, right? It doesn't make sense. Or Hilm, because the I is not there. But if I search Demir HV, then the algorithm goes and search for the other variant names. Okay? And actually what I would suggest to this author is to create a researcher ID. We didn't think about that, which is actually the same now as Publons. It's the same platform, we can use the same ID. So here, I would go and send those 516 records to researcher ID. And this way is just unifying his name, all right? It's like a passport number. You wouldn't have to search for the different variant names. It's going to search just by ID. Okay?
Also, may I add one thing? You have to be sure the same data set you have to use at the beginning of the Web of Science when you are writing your query. Every time it has to be, same data set through the more settings.
What was the other author name that?
I clicked on the first paper, it came to the screen, then found the name
Okay, so if I look on, so you took one paper here and you click here.
Yes, this one.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, because here you see you get 513. So here, I think it will be still 44.
In the morning, it was 41.
Interesting. So you can tell him it's 44, not 41. I don't know. Did you search on a specific period?
No, I just did the first paper.
Did you search Web of Science Core Collection or all databases?
All database.
But even all databases would give you I think would give you, I believe, 44, not less. I don't know.
Maybe no.
Okay, can you do it and send me a screenshot?
If I find the same result.
Yeah, no, if you find 41, just for me to understand. Yeah. Maybe did you include everything? Like, did you include Emerging Source Citation Index, all journals, conference position?
All databases.
Okay. Yeah.
About 10 years ago, we used to use Web of Science for these kind of issues, and at that time there was an option to make these authors as a group and save this setting for other next searches. Is it still?
Yeah. Well, you remember? I search here. I can save this. I just save it. I don't have to search again. Once you've done a search and you're happy with the search, just save it. So I could save the search, let's say the physics department, give me all the names, I put all the names, I will work on the search and I save it as physics department for now. Okay? Okay, I'll share my email address so that you can send me anything you want to send me and I'll have a look. Yeah? Is there any question on anything here? Okay, we talked about time cited. All right. Let's have a look at this gentleman. He has some papers which are quite interesting. You see a highly cited paper, 2 distinctions here. He has 4 highly cited in field, which means that actually he published 4 papers that received enough citations to be in the top 1%, and in this case it is in physics, I believe. Yeah. So what we do is we take papers and we sort them by category, and we sort them by citation count. All right. So let's imagine you have 1,000 papers. You sort them by citation, and this is in physics. Top 1%. The top 10, the first 10 papers, will be called or will get the distinction highly cited paper. Yeah.
Exactly understand the definition of highly cited paper. For example, the paper that you are talking about is a topic of polymer, nano.
Yeah.
It's different topics.
Yeah.
It could be also indexed as engineering, I don't know, physics. What is highly cited?
Yeah. So if you look at this paper, you're right. It's actually a very good answer. So here I'll give you the answer to this question. Sorry. So here, very good question. We have 2 categories. We have the research areas and we have the Web of Science categories. And you're right. Here, this is the category of the journal where the paper is published. So this paper is published in nanoscale. Nanoscale, traditionally published. We categorize this journal as multidisciplinary chemistry, nanoscience, material science, multidisciplinary applied physics, etc. But what we do is we have a different classification, and because here this is quite precise. I've shown that in my slide. We had 255 categories. In essential science indicators, because I've been asked to talk about essential science indicators, what we have 22, which is broader view of science. So you'd have physics, all right? Or you would have chemistry. You wouldn't have inorganic chemistry and then biochemistry or organic chemistry or applied chemistry. So we have 22. And here what we have what we call citation thresholds. And to be a highly cited paper, when the paper was published in 2010 in physics, so if I scroll down, physics, and this is 2010, if you have 163 citations as of today, and your paper is classified as physics, your paper, at least 163, your paper is a highly cited paper. And as you can see, the threshold, the top 1%, is really different based on the research areas or the fields. And you're right, that was a very good question. This is a paper, I believe it was a physics paper. 244, as of today, is above 163. So it is, and it's been published in 2010, so it is a highly cited paper. Okay? So it is in the top 1%. All right? So if I go back here, so this person has 4 highly cited papers in the field, and actually that's also a good answer to what shall I read when it came to, well, philosophy of science. I didn't know, I don't think we had a highly cited paper in there, but if I search for let's have a look at Bilkent again. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Daria. I'm searching in the wrong field. Okay. Okay, so if I search for your institution, okay, I'm interested in how many highly cited papers your institution has. It's going to be across all research areas, not only physics. So if I search here, and that's across, so 56 papers are classified as highly cited paper. This one was published in 2012, okay? So this is genetics, I believe. This one is genomics again, all right? And then you have also something, so highly cited in field is 10 years of data, and then we have something called the hot papers. So I'm searching on your institution, but you could do that on a topic. So this paper, and I believe this is chemistry and this is physics, based on the name of the journal. These papers are less than 2 years old. Okay, 2016 November and December 2017. They receive enough citation to be classified as highly cited paper because they are published in the past 10 years, and also hot paper because they are in the top 0.1%. Hot paper, we look at papers that have been published between November 2016 and November 2018. We classify them by 22 categories, and we don't look at top 1%, we look at top 0.1%. And that's what we call hot paper. That's a very good indicator. You have access to it when it comes to what is the most influential literature when it comes to your topic as of today. We're not saying, again, we're not saying this paper is better than this one or better than the other one. We're saying that they have been heavily used in a very short period of time. To get 267 citations in less than 2 years is quite massive. I don't know if you realize. You have been cited 267 times in 2 years, when you know that it takes time to publish, to get accepted in a journal. So 267 papers published, have been published and cited this paper. So if you work in physics, for example, or in chemistry, this one, I don't know what it is, I don't work in chemistry, this paper is quite influential, it's quite impactful. Yeah. Is there any question on this, or do you want me to go through the other question? We have the list here.
Something.
Yeah.
Also, you may follow our website because at the end of the month, until 29th of November, we will publish the highly cited researcher list. So you may follow that list. Also, there are many Turkish highly cited researchers there.
highly cited researcher list is even extreme. It's more difficult to be a highly cited researcher than having a highly cited paper. Highly cited researcher is someone that has published many highly cited papers. You can publish 10 papers, one of them is highly cited, that's one thing. A highly cited researcher is someone that has published several highly cited papers.
Clarivate Analytics. Clarivate Analytics is our brand, company. Clarivate.com.
Yeah.
How can you find the hot papers or highly cited papers in specific topic? I mean, let's say microfluidics.
Yeah, that's.
You find the highly cited papers.
Yeah. What's the topic again? Sorry.
Microfluidics.
Microfluids. One word or two words? One word? I have no idea. That's why I'm asking. I just put a star, microfluids or microfluid to get both words, and I search topic, and you'll get the filter here. I search on institution, I search on author, I search on anything. So here I have 511. So if I, of course, you see the most cited paper is still this one, but it's more than 10 years old. So it's not within the time range we considered for highly cited paper. Actually today is 11 years, 10 years and a half, 10, 11, sometimes 10 years, depending on the updates. So if I scroll down, all of these actually, they have been very highly cited, but they're a bit old now. So if I filter on these two filters, okay, now I have papers that are less than 10 years old, and that have been cited enough time to be in the top 1% for the highly cited, or that have been published in the past 2 years. Yeah, for example, hot paper. Let's have a look at hot paper. 6 hot papers. So all these 6 papers are less than 2 years old, and they've been cited quite heavily. So this is most recent techniques or technologies, I don't know, when it comes to microfluids, because these have been published recently and they have been heavily cited. Yeah?
And maybe I missed this part, but how can we identify the Web of Science categories of these particular?
Yeah, so you have Web of Science categories here.
Yes, okay.
So you have them here. So again, this is the category of the journal, not the paper. All right? And then I believe you have research areas, which is just a different way of looking at things. Okay, so you have 200.
So research areas categorize the article itself, while the Web of Science categories.
No, it's just different classification. Yeah. We don't have the classification of the paper yet. I know there is a project to look at the paper itself, and I can tell you how it works, how it will work, but it's not for tomorrow. It's going to take time. So this paper, Nature, how would you classify Nature? Any other, we classify it as multidisciplinary, because in Nature there is everything. All right, so this category, for now, if you look at this paper, it's science and technology, other topics, and multidisciplinary sciences. But one way of classifying this paper without having to read it is to look at what they have cited. So if you look at these, they have cited 51 papers. If I'm able to know the category of these papers and to have like clusters and say, okay, look, they cite someone from physics, and again physics, and I don't know here, chemistry, and then I'm gonna have like a different group, and I can put that paper in a group of papers. All right. I know there is a project with CWTS in Leiden. Maybe you heard about that. There is like the categories. We have 4,000, which is very micro categories. Then you have meso categories, 800, and then you have macro, which is around 20 categories. Related records, you remember? When you find this paper, you work in microfluids and you say, okay, this paper is amazing, I'm gonna read it. Now I find something to read because it gets my attention and it's relevant. Something that you can use from Web of Science, you can trying to find related records. Related records, if I click on view related records, okay, I'm gonna ask, let me close this. I'm asking Web of Science, find me other papers that have cited some of these 51 references. So you write a paper, these people, I believe from China, they wrote a paper, really nice, really useful, and they have cited other papers. I want to find, so of course I can have a look at, let's have a look at what they cited first. When you want to read, let's have a look at what others cite. That's one way of answering your question, what shall I read? So here I have a list of papers, okay? That's quite interesting. This paper is in physical review, you cannot check the record, any idea why? Yeah, because it's been published in 73 and you have access back to 75. And this one, it's not there simply because we don't index where it was published. Okay, so these are the two cases. For example, this one, it's published in 2014, but it's published in this journal that we don't index. For any reason, it can be citation impact, it can be the publishing standards, it can be the timeliness of the publication, all right? So it can be for any reason. But now what I'm asking Web of Science, I'm asking, okay, this is 51 papers, easy to handle. Within 2 months and a half, I will be able to read all of them. But now I'm asking Web of Science, is there any other paper that cited some of these 51 references? And the answer is here, 11,000. 11,000 papers. If you look at this one, different paper, different topic, maybe same idea. They have 166 references. 16 of them are shared, meaning they have been cited by the first paper, oops, sorry, which is this one, and also by this paper, 18, sorry. This one, 18 again, and again 16. You understand? Different papers citing the same papers. So now for me, bit lazy and bit to the point, I would go and try to see these 18 papers. How come these different people, you see you have people from China working on different topics, here different places, all right? How come? So let's have a look, let's say 16. 16 is easy to manage. You give me 5-10 minutes and I'll know what they're talking about and if it's relevant or not, okay? And you see lots of very highly cited papers, okay? So these are, we call them nodes in science. When you draw a map of science, you would have like nodes. So when it comes to fluids, you'll find that these papers are heavily cited and they're quite central. They are cited by many different papers, and that's how you get this information. So I would spend some time, just for me, title, abstract, if it's relevant or not. Well, quite short abstract here, but here I would read the abstract and say, okay, if it's relevant or not, and then I keep it or not. Yeah?
Why did you come from this first page to the other one?
Yeah.
Related?
Yeah.
Is it the view related?
View related records, yeah.
Okay, that's the one, right?
Yeah. So you find a paper and you're interested if there's any other papers, and you click on view related records here. So an interesting function is that create citation alert. You want to be alerted each time someone cites you. I think that could help. You just create citation alert, and of course we need an email address, and that's the email address you use when you sign in. I'm pretty much done with Web of Science, the basic search. I want to show you the, so we've talked about the author search, advanced search. Well, instead of using fields, you use codes here. So you could say TS, and where is the equal sign? Yeah, TS equal microfluids, okay, and PY for publication year equal 2010 till 2018, and CU equal Turkey for the country, and then that's it. Okay, and I click search. So here I'm searching for all the papers talking about microfluid that have been published between 2010 and 2018 with at least an author researcher from Turkey. And then you have here, I could say, actually, you know what? And AD, the address is Ankara. Okay? All document types, everything, and I just do a quick search and I find 133. So you could potentially do that with a basic search. I mean, some people prefer the advanced search. So that's for the advanced search. Okay? For the cited reference search, instead of, you're interested in who cited someone or who cited a journal. So here I could say, what was his name? Demir. Who cited Demir? If I'm an author, I'm interested in knowing who cited me. So I just put my name here and I click search. All right? You could do that for a journal as well. So here you have the list of, so of course it's limited to 1,000. And I see from where my citations are coming. So Hussein looks like he's citing himself quite some time here. Okay, so everyone does self-citation. There is nothing wrong about that. I'm just saying, I've just noticed that. So here you see from where the citations are coming. Okay. All right. Any question on Web of Science? I think I covered pretty much everything for Web of Science. I want to talk about Kopernio.
Could you please show us the journal impact factor?
Ah, yeah. Sorry. I'll do that. Yeah. I missed that part. So if you look at, let's do the search on your institution. So this is Core Collection. You know, from the results, from the record, I can click on the journal name and I'm going to get the journal information, which can be helpful. Nature, impact factor is 41 in 2017. It's a multidisciplinary sciences and it's ranked 1 out of 64 and it's a Q1 journal. So let's talk about that. And actually, you know what, let's take another journal where someone from your institution has published. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Okay, so someone from your institution published in this journal, Catalysis today, the impact factor is 4 points. Everyone knows what impact factor is? I can remind that. It's really simple. We take papers, so in 2018, we calculate and we publish the 2017 impact factor. How we do this? We take the papers published by this journal in 2015 and 16, so 2 years before, and we look at how many times they have been cited. Okay? And we divide the number of citations by the number of papers. Actually, articles and reviews. We divide only by articles and reviews. I do it again. Catalysis today. This journal published a certain number of papers in 2015 and 16. We look at how many times they have been cited in 2017, okay, and we divide in 2018, so we do that around June, end of June 2018, we released the 2017 impact factor. We divide the number of citations by the number of articles and reviews published by this journal. And we get 4.6, which means statistically, in average, a paper that was published in this journal in 2015 and 2016 has been cited 4.6 times. That's all what it means. That's the impact factor of this journal. So it's an absolute value. It's a value, an indicator of the performance of the journal as a whole. All right? Statistically, when you publish in this journal, you get, in average, 4.6. Not everyone gets 4.6. Some get 0, some get 10, some get 100. But that's a measure of the influence of this journal. In 5 years, the average number of citations is 4.5. So very quickly here, if this is higher than a 5-year, because this is a 2 years average and this is a 5-year, means the impact factor is going up, right? This journal In JCR, we have 234 categories. So we classify again the journals by categories. And it's slightly different than the Web of Science categories. So in this journal is in 3 categories: applied chemistry, physical chemistry, and chemical engineering. And we rank that journal across the categories. So in applied chemistry, this journal has the 6th higher impact factor out of 72. And for each category, we split the category in 4 quartiles, 25%. So 72, 25% of 72, that's 18. The first 18, we call them Q1. 25%, don't have a look at this for now. 18, the first 18 journals, Q1, and then 19 to 36, Q2, then 37, etc., until you get into 72. All right? You know that some disciplines have much more journals than others, like economics has 300 plus. Here in physical chemistry, you have 147. So Q1, that's in the first 25% of 147, and it's again Q1. All right? So this data is coming from Journal Citation Reports. You have access to JCR, so that's why you have access to this data.
Sorry, I have this question. So, can I ask?
Yeah, sure.
So my own research falls under the general category of arts and humanities, as you yourself suggested.
Yeah.
Arts and humanities citation journals, they are not assigned to the journal impact factor.
Yeah.
So how are we to determine the impact, not the impact perhaps, but the rank or hierarchy of the journals under arts and humanities citation index? Is there a way to
well, what I can say is that indeed people struggle when it comes to arts humanities because it takes longer to get one citation. So does it make sense to have an impact factor? I would say no. I mean, what you could do for specific journals is to take a longer period and calculate. I mean, that's my own suggestion. Huh? This is not Clarivate Analytics. Me, as a researcher in scientometrics, I would say you could compare journals on a longer period and calculate your impact factor line. It's an average number of citations. But still, I'm not really happy with this. I think for arts humanities, what would make more sense is peer review. If you want to be evaluated by someone, rather than looking at citation metrics, is to get evaluated by someone who knows what you're talking about.
But we can still get access to the citation report.
Yeah, you can. You can. What you could do is, do you have a name of journal in arts humanities?
TDR, drama, theater and drama review, TDR.
Let's do something else. Let's just search for arts humanities. And we say Turkey as a topic. I have no idea what it can retrieve. Okay, social science history is a journal in arts humanities, but also social science. We do have some journals that are across citation indices. So that's not helpful here. I don't want these. I want one. Okay, this one. Journal of Modern Greek Studies. Okay? And there is no impact factor because I cannot click on it. But what I could do, and that's getting a bit more, see, some people are asking for an impact factor. There is no impact factor. What I would do, I'm just looking for the if there is any way to have the 1 second. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, now I'm gonna do an advanced search on this journal. Okay, so you go advanced search. Actually, I would still do that. This is fine. I search on the ISSN of this journal in, let's say, last 5 years. Okay? Okay, I find 192. And I do a citation report for that journal. and I see that average citation per item, 0.32 in 5 years. And I would do the same for another journal. And I would say, okay, statistically, Journal of Greek, I forgot the name, Modern Studies, 0.32. And the other one, Journal of Modern Turkish Studies, get 0.5. And that's, let's give it higher impact. Okay? That's how I would do it, me as an individual. I'm not recommending, because you're measuring something which is quite special for arts humanities. It takes much more time to be cited. So if you look at sum of time cited, citing articles, so you see here, starting to publish in 2014, you could have a look at how long did it take to get one citation, you know. But for that period of time, 5 years, papers get cited in average 0.32. And I don't know if you noticed, there are lots of papers that have 0 citation. Yeah? Which is fine, because this is how arts and humanities is, yeah? So some papers get 1, okay? So this is how arts humanities is. So yeah. Let's have a look here. So out of 190 plus 192, 26 papers were cited. All the rest still waiting for 1 citation. So for some of them, they're recent papers anyway, which makes sense, October. But then if I go to 20 for all the publications, okay. So this one has been published 4 years ago, no citation yet. So I would do that. So the way I've done it, I went to Master Journalist, I search for social arts humanities, get the ISSN number, go to Advanced Search, and then Citation Report. And 5 years.
You just typed IS?
IS equal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the way I've done it, I went to Advanced Search. Yeah, Advanced Search. You see IS should be somewhere here. IS equal is ISSN or ISBN for the books. IS equal the ISSN number. You search. I limited to 5 years, but I mean you could say 2016 if you want. If you want to be or 2015, 2017. All right. And I would get different results. Okay. So I just remove 70 papers. And I do the thing. Okay, I'm done with Web of Science. I think we need to speak about Publons and Kopernio. Kopernio is one extension that you install. I'm not sure we can add it here, but let's see if we have the rights to do that. Add to Chrome. Okay. So Kopernio, when I search for a paper, yeah, let's talk about that later on. So here you see I just installed the Kopernio extension that works on Chrome. And Kopernio, each time it sees a paper or record, Google Scholar, for example, or PubMed, or Web of Science here in this case. So if I click on this one, you're going to have something that is trying to find the full text for this paper. Okay? Let me sign. I need to sign with my account that I don't know. You want to log in? Yeah. So what I wanted to do, but she will do it, Daria will do it with her account. I wanted to log in with my university account, library account, with my password. And it gives me access to all the resources of my library when I search Web of Science, for example, or Google Scholar, or any electronic resource. Okay? So, and then what it does, okay, so if I go back to Web of Science, so now it's searching. And it's searching in 4 different places. So first, your locker, this is where I sell my paper in Kopernio, your library subscription, then preference server, and PubMed Central, and then Google Scholar. So in this case, it didn't find this paper. But if I go to, let's try to find something. Sorry? Yeah.
We have full membership to Nature, maybe some results from.
Yeah. So there are two things here. Now I'm using Daria's account, and she doesn't have access to Nature. But if you create an account on Kopernio, and you have a library portal here for Bilkent University, we can help you to create this. 1 second, if you have an account. Yeah. Okay. I don't know, it's you and your luck, now it's searching. Okay, so it helps you to find the PDF when it's there already in your library, or if it's open access. Let's do something. So here I think what we should do is, I don't know, let's say, what we should do for Bilkent University is to create what we call a library guide. So here's for now, you can search Google Scholar PubMed, but you can search for your own institution. So here you will see libraries. So if I go the first time, what I've done, I went and I searched for Leiden University, and here's the guide to connect to my university and to find. So here I just connect with my account. I don't have it in mine; it's saved in my laptop. But that's how you create a portal. And I know in Library University I have access to all these journals. So in Bilkent University, with your subscriptions, okay, you don't have to. Okay, let's go back to the library and I'm gonna access the journal and read. Here you're gonna find directly the full text from Web of Science or from where you've seen the paper. Once you have Kopernio activated here with your library guide. Sorry. So if I open this one, okay, you see here it's searching, and I'm in PubMed Central, so it should find the full text. So of course the PDF should be somewhere here. But if I search for this one, okay. Okay, now it found it. Found it in PubMed Central. So you've seen what I've done? I did search on Ebola. I just picked this one. Okay, I took that record, and because now Kopernio is installed, okay, and it's searching and it finds in library subscriptions this record. So if I go for this one, maybe we'll find it as well. Yeah, and this one, same here. You see I'm searching PubMed and I'm searching Web of Science, and now it says PDF found. I just click that and it brings me the PDF. You understand the concept? It's just based on the title, the DOI, the journal name, everything that is related to the publication. When you install this extension in Chrome, every time you search for a paper somewhere, Web of Science, Google Scholar, or PubMed Central, or other resources, it helps you to find the PDF. I can download that, okay? I can download it to my computer, or I can save it into my locker, okay? So that's for Kopernio.
Excuse me, how do we install the extension itself? I can't install it.
How did I do that? I went to here, Kopernio, and it brings you Kopernio.com, and you just click Add to Chrome. Or you could go, I think you have something, settings or extensions, and you search for it here, and then you install it from Chrome directly.
What about other browsers? This only works on Chrome, right?
Yeah.
So we can't use this on Mac.
There's no Chrome in Mac?
Okay, I have. Okay.
Yeah, if you used to use Safari. Well, no, for now the extension is in Chrome.
Okay.
Sorry for the Mac user or the Internet Explorer users. Maybe one day. I don't know why it exists only on Chrome. Sorry? It's there? On Safari? Mozilla. Okay. So Firefox seems to be, there's an extension there.
Sorry, so when you edit on Google Chrome, I mean, then when you search for an article, it will be automatically searching the PDF on the site as you're saying?
If it's available.
If it's available.
Yeah, it's gonna search.
Automatically do it. We don't have to do anything. As long as there is a Kopernio add-on, it will do it automatically.
Yeah. So here I'm in Web of Science, but I've done it in PubMed, and I've done it in Web of Science, for example. So here, if I look at the record, Kopernio is smart enough to know that, okay, we're in PubMed, and it's going to search based on the title and the DOI, and it says, okay, now it's green, the PDF has been found in Google Scholar. Okay? Now if I click here, it brings the PDF. What I'm saying here, I don't know if you noticed, but it also searched in your library subscription. So what we need to do with Bilkent University is tell us how we can set up a library guide, as we've done with our institution, so that when people from your institution, they can connect with their Bilkent ID to browse your library here in your institution. Okay? Because you just add one more option. You add one more place to search in. Yeah. Preprint server, it's like archive. Some people, they put the PDF in the archive first before publishing in a journal. It's also searching in archive.org, for example. Okay? Any question on Kopernio?
Is it just for finding PDF?
Yeah. And saving money to the library. No, I think, yeah, finding the full text is the main function for Kopernio, because you know that the open access is, for you it should be like this, growing. By 2040, almost like 100% of all publications will be open access. That's the prediction of many. So here, it helps you to find the full text. Okay? And again, saving money. You don't want to pay for something you already have access to. Some people, they go and they purchase the article through Nature when it's available somewhere, like archive, or even in your own library. Okay? Yeah?
For instance, you search something on the Web of Science, because you search on a particular topic, so you get a list of different articles.
Yeah.
So now you have to be specific on one particular article. So Kopernio will give you a PDF of all the articles that appear in the website.
Ah, yeah, I got you. So here, ultimately, maybe that will come in a later version. I understand what you mean. You do a search and then you have the PDF here. Yeah. Here it looks like you have a link resolver already in place with Bilkent. So here you have a resolver, and if your institution has access to it, then, well, first, Kopernio has access to it, and that's in your library, because I'm going through your link resolver, all right? But I got you. I got your point here. You'd love to have a PDF. Maybe that will come later, one day. Yeah. You also have that filter, open access. We didn't talk about that. You have the all open access. So one of them is open access, and one is bronze and green, green published. Okay, for Publons, For Publons, I don't think I have created an account yet. Yeah, but let me show you a few slides. Purpose of having, yeah, we do have some slides here that go through everything that we mentioned, H-index and everything. Talked about Kopernio and researcher ID. Here, what I wanted to mention. Okay. Yeah, I mean, well, we'll share this presentation with you. I mean, what I can say about Publons, there are two things, really. The first thing is for reviewers, so you create a profile, it's free, and you basically show the work that you've done as a reviewer, all right? So you want to show that, you want to showcase that you have reviewed a paper for journal ABC, okay? And you want to make that in your profile. The second thing is that for early research, early career researchers, like young researchers, they want to review, but they're not visible yet. Editors, they go into Publons and they look up for reviewers because that's what they need. Editors, publishers, journal publishers, they receive lots of papers, submissions, okay, for publication, but they need resources to review the papers before getting into the published paper in the journal, right? So for Publons, so here, if I go back to, so yeah, Daria, what she did a search at the institutional level, Bilkent University. So right now, we have 46 people that registered as reviewers that are affiliated to Bilkent University, and you ranked 32nd in Turkey. And those reviewers, they've done 477 reviews. And that's a rank of 16 in Turkey. So you rank 32, but you're more productive in terms of reviews than other institutions, okay? The one journal editor is in the room? Is not in the room, okay? And so here you could see view reviewers. So who's currently doing reviewers here in Bilkent University? All right. So you have all the names here, and these people, they become visible for editors. All right, they become visible for editors so that, and they would have a profile. So let's have a look at this one, for example. Let's have a look at this one. He created a profile. He's a verified reviewer. 57 reviewer merits, so we calculate based on what he has done. His research fields, so these are his specialties. So this is where he can help in terms of review activity. And he has reviewed for Journal of Urban History, then European Planning Studies. And then you'll find the different publications. Of course, he showcased that work once the paper is published. Yeah? And is in one editorial board. Okay? So you become more visible, and also, ultimately, maybe some institution will start using this data to evaluate the activity of their staff members or faculty members. Until now, the review activity was more like free. You do it on your free time, it's not visible, it doesn't even appear on your CV, you don't get compensation on it. There is nothing, right? I don't know if it's different in Bilkent, but my case is that if you do a review, it's just you've done it like for free, it's just like charity work, all right? Here you become more visible. So the review, and especially in terms of research evaluation, you know, we don't look only at publication, we also look at the teaching activities, what you do in terms of collaboration with industry, or what you do in terms of review. Review is time consuming, and it's really important. You know, in the selection process, we talked about peer reviewed, having a journal peer reviewed. A journal is peer reviewed thanks to these people. If the journal is not peer reviewed, then you could challenge the quality of the journal. All right. Yeah, I suggest for them to create a profile and to start becoming visible. Obviously, this person has done, if you look at the papers, he has also an ORCID, and so he has reviewed 4. So these are the pre-publication reviews that he has done, 19, okay? But he started from 0, as everyone, right? So you create a profile and you become visible thanks to your research areas, and then the editors will start contacting you to review for their journals. Of course, so 2 main users here, as I said. Researchers who want to do reviews, and editors who are looking for reviewers. Okay? And yeah, Daria was showing the institutional page that has been launched recently. So here, Bilkent University, for example, at the administration level, they would be interested in having this type of data. Because we don't only do research, we also help researchers to do research and to publish in terms of peer review process. Okay?
Maybe during this time we have to say you may attend the Publons Academy.
Ah, yeah.
There is an online training. It's all free.
Yep.
Through the Publons.
So for early career researcher, I would say advance your career and attend the academy and learn how to review. Yeah. So you create a profile, it's free, and actually you use the same username and password. I haven't created my account yet, I should. But with Researcher, if you have access to Researcher ID, you can merge Researcher ID and Publons. I keep dealing this, but I should do that. So you create a Publons account here. Ready to go? Any question? I have nothing.
Why is that account different? Is it not connected to WOS?
No, it's the same.
Why is it you need to have a different account?
No. Because me personally, I didn't create a Publons account yet. I'll do it once I go back to the hotel. Because, look, if I show you Researcher ID, it's the same username and password, and I use the same in Inside Journal, Citation Report, Essential Science Indicators. It's my bad, I should have done this. I keep saying, remind me later. Now it's time to create a Publons account. I would like to create a Publons account. If I say continue, okay, yes, authorize, and all my data is there. Now I have a Publons account. Thank you. All right. Okay, so this is my researcher ID. Authorize. And I just log out from here. Is there any question on anything? Yep.
Is there any way to sort journals with respect to impact factor on a specific topic? For example, if you want to publish a paper in a specific topic, is there any way that we can see the journals with the highest?
Yeah, I mentioned that at the beginning, but let's say when we've done philosophy of science or any topic, microfluid here, a quick list of journals that could match would be here. So all these journals are indexed and have published a lot of papers when it comes to microfluids. Here I have the list of journals. I just searched on the topic, and the analysis I have done was go to source titles. And here I have 100, the top 100 journals by number of papers. So I see lab on a chip, analytical chemistry, etc. And I can be more precise. I mean, this is microfluids, which is quite wide as a topic. If you're more precise, you would get a better list. Yeah? But I know all these journals are indexed. They're there in the core collection. Yeah, so for that, you would go into Journal Citation Reports, which is a different platform. So you want to rank them by impact factor. Yeah? So what you could do is you say browse by category. So microfluids, Which category is that? Sorry? I don't know if we have something called fluids. I don't know. Okay, I'll tell you the categories that we have, for example, for this journal. This journal is in instruments, instrumentation, physics, fluids and plasmas, maybe? Fluids and plasmas? Let's do that just to see. So, physics, fluids, and plasmas, for example, this one. So we have 31 in Science Citation Index, expanded, 31 journals. And here I can rank them by impact factor, by default. So here I have the list of journals by impact factor. So the most impactful journal is Annual Review of Fluid Mechanics. Then we have Nuclear Fusion, 4, 3.9, 3.2 of within that category. But this is by category. This is not by topic.
Let me add something. As library, we don't have subscription to journal citation reports.
That's why I didn't talk about that, but I haven't been asked to talk about it. But yeah, you don't have access to it.
Can you say that your index journals in Web of Science are free from predatory journals?
I would say yes.
So you don't have any listed predatory journals in Web of Science? Because I have...
And if you see one, you tell us, we remove it.
Okay, so when we say that there's a journal index, predatory journal index in Web of Science, if you write to you, you can...
Yeah, of course. The day after it's gone.
Okay.
I think there was an interesting presentation in Turkey where we were having some time. It was a conference, I think, in Istanbul. Yeah, no. It was last year. It was last year, and it was funny because we had people from Elsevier, Scopus, Saivan, and us, and they were showing in where Turkish researchers were publishing the most. And in Scopus, there was a journal that was predatory. Our agent, Online Bilgi, they informed us about that, and we removed it. But it's still there in Scopus because it's predatory. The second one is still there in Scopus. We never indexed it. Okay? If you see a predatory journal, we remove it within, I would say within a week. I mean, if not the day after.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah, no, it's really important, really important. That's why the way we look at and we do the selection process, we don't want you to search and to publish in predatory journal. I mean, no one wants that. If you have that information, you share it with us. How you can do that? I mean, either you write to us, or if you find a record that is there in Web of Science, you just say, suggest a correction. That brings that support page, and you say, well, this journal is predatory. Do you have a name in mind?
No. I was just curious. That one.
No. We're very reactive on the selection. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
I listened to what you said so far, and I was wondering why a scholar should use a Web of Science rather than a Google Scholar.
Short answer is that Google Scholar, you have no visibility on how they do things, and they index everything. I would say it's good for, I mean, the logic is different. Google Scholar captures everything.
What about the scope? Can I find each and every source that I can find in Google Scholar and the Web of Science?
No. Short answer is no, and it's definitely no, because we are selective. Google Scholar is not. Google Scholar captures everything, right? You have a blog, and you have, I mean, you can create an own paper, a fake paper, and it's going to be indexed and retrieved by Web of Science, and it's not even published. You know what I mean? In Google Scholar was mentioning.
No, Google Scholar also says how much the source sources used, how many citations it
Yeah, yeah. I'm saying Google Scholar is not that bad. I'm saying that it's not selective. And we do even have a partnership with them. If you click here, all right, it's going to bring me this record in Google Scholar, and it tells you it has been cited 1,000 times, 900, but it has been cited 627 times from Web of Science. We have a partnership with them. What I'm saying is that that's one paper that is publishing in Microfluidics and whatever the journal name, all right? But you also have, if I say with the right eye, okay, you have lots of papers that you have no visibility and you have no certainty of where they have been published and if this journal is like real and is not predatory. There's no selection here, right? 20,000 papers here, there's no selection at all. They capture everything that they can capture from websites. That's what Google is doing. Google is trying to sell you to bring as much as they can in terms of content so that you click. And then, I mean, Google, their main revenue is ad, right? It's free. I mean, you can still use it. I mean, it's fine to a certain degree, I would say, but you have no way to understand how it has been done. And by the way, Google Scholar is managed by 7 people globally. We're more than 1,000 working on Web of Science, just in terms of data, content, and curation of the content. Okay, so if I click here, simple microfluids, it brings me Science Direct. That's it. There's no enrichment in terms of, okay, what's the institution name? Is there any funding? Is there any keywords that we don't see here? And also you could be, yeah, it looks like Kopernio is working quite well on Google Scholar, as you can see. So, and actually sometimes when I don't find the paper, I start with Google Scholar, just paste the title, and I see the title, I see the PDF here. And also for your profile, I mean, if you have a profile, I don't know if you have a profile on Google Scholar, you could be surprised on how poor is the quality of the data, because they would allocate some papers that are completely irrelevant to you. All right, we don't automate. I mean, it's a search engine. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it's capturing everything it can. Okay? No.
I mean, we write something and you search according to the criteria as you have mentioned. So.
Yeah, but we index the journal. We do the selection process. You remember in my
index
of the journal. Your paper pops up in Web of Science. This one would pop up in. No, I'm not saying that. This paper.
What do you mean by index?
Shall I repeat the session? No.
Don't you mean the criteria as you have mentioned? So
Yes,
like
exactly.
Citation gaps, blah blah those things.
Maybe we can say Google Scholar can calculate also and add grade literature. I mean, for example, thesis or ephemeras or letters. They are also, collected data from there. But in our...
That's the main difference, if I may. That's the main difference with us and the rest. And we've been consistent in how we have been doing this for the past 50 years, if not plus, 60 years plus. When this record, you see it in Web of Science because it has been published in a selected journal. Google Scholar is showing this paper because it's capturing the data that is coming from this website. They capture websites, web pages. We don't capture that. We select journals, which is different. And it's right, you would see thesis, you would see websites, you would see blogs. I mean, here you see HTML, like this is an HTML page, book. It's fine. I mean, that's how we do it. That's how they do it. For us, what's important is that when you search in, and that's why we mentioned master journalist, when you find a paper, a record in Web of Science, you know that it has been published in a journal that is matching these criteria, which is definitely not the case in Google Scholar and even other platforms. Okay, that's the main difference. To answer the question on what's the difference between platform, that's the difference. And then how they do stuff, it's their thing. I mean, I'm not saying the platform is bad. I'm just saying that it's a different philosophy. They capture everything, and that's it. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Let's say I have a paper in 2015 in a certain journal. In 2016, that journal started to be indexed in WOS Science. Can I say that I have an indexed paper? I mean, a paper in an indexed journal?
No. So if I'm not sure I got you correctly, so let's say microfluidics and nanofluidics, this paper is June 2007, and we started to index this journal in 2008, okay? So this record wouldn't appear.
How do you know when it started?
Yeah, so there is a quick way to do that. Again, on ISSN, I like the ISSN. So you search on the ISSN and you look at the publication date. So advanced search, IS. It's actually a very good question. I'm not sure if the other people in the room got that. So of course, new journals are added to the Web of Science, and you want to know since when they have been indexed. So one quick way of doing that, you search for the the ISSN in the Web of Science in advanced search, and here, if I look at, so it's not Arts Humanities, of course. So if I search here, and it's not the right I, sorry. I'm not able to write IS. Okay. So IS equal ISSN, I find the papers and I just analyze on the publication year, and I know that we indexed this journal for papers at least from 2015. Okay? Yeah, sorry, I need to remove your Publons account. They added my Publons account to my...
Okay, I have another question.
Yes.
This is related with cited author. Let's say that I have an essay cited by a writer, a publication of which is indexed in WOS Science, but mine is not indexed in WOS Science. Can I still see my name in WOS Science?
Yeah. So how you would do that? I've done it with cited reference search.
Yeah.
So I looked at. I can do it. If you come and write your name, you can have a look.
No, I was just curious again. So,
Okay.
You can.
Yeah, you type in your name.
Okay. Even if the publication
Yeah.
or the work is not indexed
Yeah.
by WOS Science, but if it is given as a citation, you can still search.
That's how we do this.
Okay.
We get a journal and it wants to be indexed in the Web of Science. We look at how many times they have been cited. So let's say a Turkish journal of chemistry. It's not indexed yet. I can type it, find me the papers that cited Turkish Journal of Chemistry to analyze the total citations, the recent citation activity, etc. Okay?
If it is a book, can we still see the name?
Yeah, any work. I mean, you can type in Quran or Bible. Let's do it. If you say, who cited the Quran, for example, it's not an author, obviously. So if I say cited work, okay. I mean, I'm writing it this way, but I'm sure there will be. So here, all these people, they cited that book or work, okay. So here, I can say, I don't know. If you tell me a name of a journal that is not indexed, maybe I can type in.
I don't know.
Any idea in the room?
Chemosensors.
Chemo?
Sensor.
It's not indexed? Like this? One word?
Last year I checked, it wasn't indexed.
But is it one word or two words?
Yes, it's correct.
With an S at the end?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, so chemosensors, not indexed as you say, but it's been cited. Okay? And it has been cited 86 times, as we see here. So here you're searching who cited that work. It can be anything that can be cited. It can be a blog, it can be a book, it can be anything. It can be policies. It doesn't have to be article, it doesn't have to be conference proceedings. It is something that can be cited.
Okay, then why didn't you index that verb which is cited like 75 times?
So, because maybe, I don't know if it has been submitted, first they need to submit the journal. We don't go and hunt for new journals. Journals are submitted to us. And maybe because they don't respect timeliness of publication. They don't publish on time. Or maybe it's a university journal, which is too narrow. There's not enough international or regional focus. I think there's like 25 points of evaluation. It's not only one. It's not you're cited and then you get indexed. All right? It's not only that. There are many other information that is being evaluated or reviewed. Yeah? Is there any other question? Yes?
And also, I was wondering about the EndNote. Can you only use EndNote or Mendeley, or is it?
Yeah. Again, I haven't been asked to talk about EndNote, but EndNote Online is free, so everyone who has access to Web of Science has access to EndNote Online Premium. And when you search for anything, you can, of course, save the papers to EndNote. So, for example, I can save this to my EndNote Online.
EndNote is not free.
It is EndNote Online. EndNote Desktop is not free. EndNote Online is free. EndNote Desktop, the software, is not free.
Well, how can I have online just by internet I can use?
No. EndNote Online is free. So let me show you. So if I show you,
What's the difference between them? I mean,
yeah.
all the same.
So EndNote Online is the website, which is free. EndNote Desktop is the software, which is not free. You buy a license. You need to download it, install it, and you pay for the license. In short, EndNote Desktop, the software is more powerful. There are more functionalities, okay, and it's installed in one machine. EndNote Online is a website, looks like that. All right. If I send this one to EndNote Online, okay, send. And if I go here, it will go to Unfiled. So it's sending one record. You feel free to use whatever you want. If you've been using Mendeley, I'm not forcing anyone to use EndNote. EndNote is integrated, so here this paper will be sent. So here it says this record is in your EndNote library. So if I just click on it, it brings me this. But there's an interesting function that is available only in EndNote Online, which is the, so that's the reference I just added, okay? The match function, I don't know if you've seen that, based on your manuscript. So let's cheat a little bit. Let's imagine this is my title, and someone was asking and is gone. Where shall I publish my paper? Based on your title and abstract, EndNote is going to search in Web of Science if there's any journals that could be a good match. That's why we call it match. And here it found 10 journal matches. So this one is an excellent match, nanoletters. And we give you the impact factor and the impact factor over 5 years. So I went to, so first of all, you need to be signed in and you create an account on EndNote Online. And then EndNote Online, you go to match. And then you type in the title of your manuscript and your abstract. And now you're asking yourself in which journal I should publish. Okay, so if I take find journals, And it gives me 10 journal matches. Again, these are not recommendations from Clarivate Analytics. It's just suggestions based on the words that you use. So here it's an excellent match. Why? Because when you read nano letters, you find lots of these keywords that you use in your title and manuscript. And we give you the impact factor. Although you don't subscribe to JCR, you don't have access to it, you still have the impact factor information and the quartile. Okay? And this is in Web of Science, only available in EndNote. You don't have it in Mendeley.
And it's also crawling the Microsoft Word, right?
Ah, yeah. Well, I don't know if I can install it, but I can download something that I call that is called Cite While You Write, and there is a version for Mac, for the Mac users. I can install it. I don't know if I'm able to use it here. Let's have a look. So if I install it, so we need to close that, and I click Run. Let's see. It's creating a link between EndNote Online and Word. And I'm not sure I can install anything on this computer. But yeah, in short, what it does, it creates. Yeah. Yeah. There is a menu in Word. Actually, it's not even a link. It's a menu in itself where you can connect and put your name and username and password in the application, and it creates a link between EndNote Online and Word. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I think we already entered the Q&A session, but some of us had to leave. Perhaps I have a class to attend, so would you mind just sharing with us your email address?
Ah, yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can address some queries.
I think, I don't know if it's still there in the Word the PowerPoint presentation. It's not there. Okay, it's not there. Okay, let me add it here. Let me add it here. So I'll give you my email address. Okay, I'm also available on LinkedIn if you want to. Okay, let's put this here. All right, so that's my email address: jamal.el.euahi@clarivate.com.
Thank you, that's very kind of you. So will we be sharing the presentation by itself?
I need the list of attendees. If we have the list of attendees, we'll definitely share it. We'll share it with the library, and they can make it available to everyone.
By the way, may I request to fill out our questionnaire related to the training and improving our training for next?
Thank you. Thank you very much.